Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is that you're listening or watching to this latest episode of TurfCast podcast with me, Joe Redmond, and as usual, my good friend Simon Townley. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Very well, mate. You?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. It's a warm one today, isn't it? A warm one.
Well, it is. Well, it's meant to be cold. By the time people listen to this, it's snowing.
I know, yeah, apparently so. But even in winter, when our phones predict snow, it never comes. I'll be shocked. I'll be shocked if it snows. Even though it's all saying that it's going to snow, it won't snow. But like you say, I might look like an idiot now by the time everyone listens to this because they'll be listening to it on always like trying to get through some blizzard. Have you heard him? But yeah, sat out in garden this morning with broom and stuff. So all good. It even encouraged me to go for my first run in about 3 weeks. But I did have a sore toe. But still, I could have gone yesterday. Not yesterday. It was sunny yesterday. The day before, and I couldn't be arsed. But I'm playing football again tonight. Football's back. Not in the Burnley way. We still can't go on the game. Leisure box, speaking of Burnley.
Nice.
Yeah. Outdoor, though. We're still not allowed indoor. Indoor pitch is well better as well. Outdoor pitches, it's decent. It's not like Townley AstroTurf used to be, where you used to get like half your leg missing if you're going for a slide tackle. But, you know, I prefer indoor ones, me.
Yeah, they're good, them ones, aren't they? My lads play there. But my lads return this week. But yeah, it's good to see. Good for the mental health and the old physical activities for the kids. It's all good. Yeah,
so fingers crossed we can all boost our mental health and physical health as well. Just before we get into it, of course, I'll do a bit of housekeeping. As usual, we are, of course, sponsored by Pitch Sport. If you haven't already, please go and download the app now. It is available on both the App Store and the Google Play Store and is available in the UK and Ireland. So if you haven't downloaded it yet, it would help us massively if you went to go and download it now. And another thing, which we have mentioned a couple of times on other podcasts, but I'm going to mention it again on this one, is our Facebook stars are back. Thank you to the people that sent the Facebook stars during the live podcast. It's very, very much appreciated. Are you trying to do a star with your fingers?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm going to say, where that your fingers bend, you should be able to do it in no time. Crazy Fingers 86.
Come back to me on this.
Right, we'll come back to Simon. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, he is going to do a star with his fingers. Is he going to get there? No. It's your wife I feel sorry for, mate. It's your wife I feel sorry for. You should be able to do that.
I don't know. Okay.
Well, thank you to those who sent us stars. It is very much appreciated. It is the easiest way to show your appreciation for TurfCast and help support TurfCast if you like what we do. If you don't like what we do, fair enough. You know, we're not everyone's cup of tea. It's the same for anybody. But if you do like what we do, please send us some Facebook stars. As I said, it's the best way that you can support us. And if you can't send us any stars because, you know, it's lockdown, you've not worked for a year or whatever, that's totally fine as well. Just give us a share if you're watching this on Facebook or if you're watching one of our streams on Facebook over the weekend. Are you trying to still do a star with your fingers?
I can do an A.
You can do an A.
Oh, that's a new skill I've learned.
That's irrelevant.
I get it.
I'm just making words up now to try and make them into jokes. It don't really work, does it? But one thing I forgot to ask you though: have you been up to much this week? Because obviously it's nice and sunny, so I presume that you've been out and about, maybe on your hand bike.
I have. I've been out on the hand bike.
Look like I'm crying then. On your hand bike.
I've been out on my hand bike. I've been up Townley a few times with the boys. Whizzed past Kieran Phillips. Apparently, I didn't even see him.
Boo, Kieran Phillips. No, I'm joking. He's a good lad.
If he asked, I sped up when I saw him. But yeah, I've been doing that, a little bit of that. And then I've been trying to catch up on emails and work-related stuff. And I came across, you ready for this? It's unusual, but an email from Burnley Football Club that makes some of the simplest things seem like Krypton Factor.
Oh, what is it now? It's season tickets, actually, because season tickets come out today, hasn't it?
It's season tickets. So I'm just reading it now. And they've just put it in riddles. I just thought, I'm a bit thick, and everyone who knows me knows I don't read everything correctly. I kind of skip bits. And
when you do read, you read at key stage 1.
Exactly. I just pick key words out. So I'll miss the word is not. I'll just put is coming. So yeah, I'm struggling with this. I'm just having a look at it now. But basically, everybody now, if you have paid for your season ticket and you've done the hard work, you've done it for them, you've carried on ploughing into the club and saying, here's my money, even though we're not earning. They're now saying, if you want a season ticket next year, then you've got to reapply. Now, I'll ask you, Joe, but I'm asking the audience that's listening as well. If I paid all season, tell me one fucking person who does not want to renew. It's a given that I am renewing.
Yeah. Unless for whatever reason you've moved away, somebody could have moved away, can't get to the turf. People, we have been in the worldwide pandemic. People's relatives that went onto the game they could have died or whatever. You'd think that 99% of the people are going to renew anyway. But I have put it on screen for people to see that the article is out on the Burnley website. I'll let Simon talk about what he's going to talk about first, and then we'll go into the screen.
Well, for me, logistically, I'll get the screen up as well, and then we'll go through it together at the same time. But logistically, it makes far more sense for any brand like this. It's such a big thing, and they've got potentially 9,000 to 15,000 people now getting a season ticket next year. It makes far more sense to say, do you know what? I don't want mine, because there'll be a handful of them compared to 1,000 renewals. It makes no sense. I'm not having it. Stupid.
Fair enough. Well, I'll just quickly read out what it says. Obviously, I weren't even aware that they'd brought this out today. I don't think they've tweeted it. If they have, I've missed it, so apologies for that. And you were talking to me about it about an hour ago, and I'm like, oh God, I've only gone on it for the sake of the podcast, because I know people will want to know about it. But it, like Simon says, they've just made it incredibly difficult for whatever reason to just. I don't know why they don't just ring you up and say, we owe you 450 quid, don't we, from last season ticket. Yeah, tell you what then, mate, you can have one free next year. I know there's probably a bit more, as you said, logistics involved in all of this, but that is essentially what they're doing, and they're making it ridiculously difficult. But anyway, the article on the website says, all the info you need on the first phase of the season ticket holders returning. The first phase of season ticket holders returning to Turf Moor. We can now offer more information on the phased process for the season tickets, blah, blah, blah. The following steps. Again, just get into it. Right, phase 1, Wednesday, the 31st of March until Friday, the 23rd of April. So from today, yesterday, if you listen to this on Thursday. So from now, existing 2020-2021 season ticket holders will be able to renew their seats for the upcoming season. Please note that you have already paid for a season of football at Turf Moor. When you renew, please ensure you use your one account as a method to payment, and no additional costs will be incurred. The 2021-2022 season will be uploaded to your current season card. That seems simple enough, to be fair, that bit. Now I've broken it down, to be fair, that bit seems very, very simple enough. I know it's not as simple as that for you, is it? Because obviously you have a disabled ticket and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's another that will walk. I wasn't even going to bring that one in, but I suppose I should. We have probably got disabled listeners that might need help. But so if I'm learning something, it's probably good to share it. However, the single sign-on account, the fact that they've sort of like brought that in at the beginning is what's made me sort of disengaged. Like you just said, then get on with it. You're skipping bits now, and then apparently the single sign-on bit. I'm like, well, what the hell is this? But they're only doing what you should be doing anyway. We shouldn't have to have a separate account for a Clarets player, buying a shirt and then buying a season ticket. It should be all just on one account. I don't understand why it's making it sound like it's a brand new innovation. It's not. And then, like you said, you go on, you use your own account. Now, my money is there, but like again, it just seems very daft. And if you don't click use your own account, it'll just charge your card that you've got saved.
Yeah.
So just don't be. I mean, it's simple enough when you read and digest it, but it's written in riddles half the times. It feels.
Yeah, I know what you mean though. That I know a lot of big companies do this, and Burnley probably won't be any different. Just make sure you do it right, because if you do it wrong, then they'll charge you, and then you probably won't be able to get the money back. They'll say, "Well, you click this." Anyway, phase 2, Monday the 17th of May. So obviously this is after this one. Until Sunday the 23rd of May. All 2019-20 season ticket holders who didn't renew, or 2020-2021 season ticket holders who cancelled their ticket and claimed a full refund, will have the opportunity to purchase their seats for the 2021-2022 season. Please note, prices are unlikely to be frozen in this phase. That's new. Prices and direct debit payment options currently being finalised, and more information will be released in due course. So there you go.
That was written in again, but it was written ages ago when they said, "Listen, if you keep paying us, we won't put your prices up next year." That's theoretically what they said anyway. Yeah. So that's the and then what's phase 3? All the return.
is Monday the 24th of May. All the remaining seats in the stadium, either not renewed or purchased in phases 1 and 2, will be available as general sale season tickets for the 2021-2022 season. Prices and direct debit options are currently being finalised, blah, blah, blah. So they don't know the prices for the new up-and-coming seasons yet. But I do want to go back. I know I said, well, this is new, and it is new and it isn't, because they've confirmed it now, but they did say if you carry on paying your ticket, you then get a free ticket at that price. If you don't, prices may or may not go up, if I remember rightly. I might be wrong. Someone might come back at me and say they blatantly said there, mate, in black and white, the prices will go up if you don't do it. And that's how they roped us in, probably. Yeah. I mean, I would have bought it anyway, so it didn't rope me in. But yeah, I think when you break it down, it's all pretty simple. It just could have been probably done a little bit better, especially in your eyes, I think.
Yeah, I'm a bit thick like that. Like I said, I don't read things correctly half the time, and then I'm the kind of guy that does click the wrong button that ends up buying something like that. So it just, I don't know. I just think it's ridiculous to say, yes, I've paid for a season ticket, so yes, I want it.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, sorry, I've got a bit of a cough today. But yeah, fair play. I think I was saying, why can't it just be ring up and say, I think if you're just signing and renewing. Obviously the money needs to be in your account. I've not logged in yet. I tried to log in early and I don't remember logging in, so I don't know my username and password. My dad probably knows it or has it, blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure. But it's fine. It's good that they finally got some information out about it, I suppose.
Yeah, all good. And then they just sort of like finish it with, as you're all aware, with the COVID guidelines, staff working from home includes, I don't know where it were now, I've seen it earlier, as you were, discussions about the return to stadiums reduced attendance before the end of the current Premier League season. This has not yet been confirmed. As such, we cannot confirm any plans, so we ask supporters to be patient until the club knows more. Now, all these 9,000 and odd season tickets to 15, I don't know how many we sell now. But if all these thousands of season tickets, what if they say at the beginning of the next season, right, we're reducing it to 30%? There's then another logistical nightmare that we're going to have to go through on the website and find his way through it, apparently.
Fingers crossed that's not the case. But obviously, you know, this time 18 months ago, if you'd have said you didn't go on the turf after a certain date for over a year, then you'd have said that's very unlikely to happen. So, the government could easily turn around now and say that, you know, we aren't going to allow football stadiums to be full. So it's a good point that you raise.
Yeah, I think it's a realistic problem that we might even face yet. We might have to do all this, and we might still not get on the turf. And you're owed 2 years season ticket, and they'll still say, "Are you sure you want it?"
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, at least that's done. That's out of the way. I'm surprised my dad's not texted me about it yet. He'll probably text me about 3-4 days. What he did this week, he texted me yesterday, right? It makes me laugh. I know he listens, so I know I'm going to get a bit of grief for this. But he texted me yesterday about Burnley released some information last week, basically saying we are working on information. There is no update yet. And I read it at the time and I went, why bother saying that? I presume they've done it because people are saying, where is it? Blah, blah, blah. You know, like how people do. So they probably just done it to keep fans off the back for like a week. And I read it at the time and I totally passed over it because I weren't very arsed because it were an update to say there is no update, basically. And then my dad texted me yesterday saying, have you seen the update about the season tickets? I'm like, oh, they must have done it. So I went on everything, couldn't find anything. I'm like, no, what are you on about? And he's like, I tried to send you the link, but I can't do it. So I went on the website and I sent it him, the old one that said, the update is there is no update. Like, yeah, that's the one. I'm like, that was like 4 or 5 days ago. You got me well excited. But no, so at least it's finally out.
It is. But yeah, it was one of them things, isn't it? I can't wait to get back on, and I can't wait to figure it. The positive of it all, I guess, is there is a progression, there is a movement.
Yeah.
But it does look like we're playing Premier League football, which could have been a gamble. I wonder how many of them, them fans that sometimes come out, and there might be some listening, so it is about you. The ones that go, oh, you're not a proper Burnley fan if you take the money back. You know what I mean? But like when we got
I think I took the money back last time.
Do you remember that when they said, oh, free season ticket if you get promoted to the Premier League? No, keep it in the club, invest in it. I'm like, fair enough. I don't disagree with that. But they have just got £60 million for getting promoted. I don't think your 200 quid season ticket's quite, making the next J. Rodriguez. But if people start throwing that out there this time after a pandemic and people losing their jobs, I think they're crazy.
Someone will. Someone will throw it out. Not a real. Took it back. Not a real fan. Not a real fan. I'm taking
not
it
a real
back,
fan. You would have done that
I'm
at all.
buying myself a new camera or something like that. Definitely. But yeah, anyway, obviously it's international break, so there isn't too much in the way to talk about stuff that's actually entertaining. That's how we spent 20 minutes on the bloody season ticket renewals. Not even 20 minutes, 15 at a push. But of course, Nick Pope's been in action. Matej Vydra, the poor sod, got subbed on in the 86th minute against Wales. He gets subbed on in the 86th minute for his club, goes to his country and gets subbed on in the 86th minute. Bailey, I think, is in action for Northern Ireland tonight. Robbie Brady, we'll get into Robbie Brady. Don't go into Robbie Brady. Yeah, we'll get into that. But obviously, Pope against Albania, another clean sheet, and he became the first English goalkeeper ever, whilst playing for England, to keep 6 clean sheets in his first 6 games for England. But if you search Nick Pope's name on Twitter that day, it was just full of top 6 snobs saying, not good enough, because that one kick went out of play. He didn't try and fanny about with it and get skinned. I don't see what the problem is. He's kicking, I mean, we have always said, could be better, but it could be better in a different side. It's not really a problem for us at Burnley. Heaton had a good throw on him. And when we first brought Pope into the side, I did used to say, like the first time when Heaton got injured, because Heaton used to get the ball, didn't he? He'd sometimes collect a cross and then he'd launch it with his arms and would be on a counter-attack straight away. You don't really get that with Pope, but that's not really part of his game. But I thought he did what he had to do well. Again, he didn't really have much of a test, just like he did against San Marino. The game against Poland, which is tonight, which is a bit of a shame because I would have liked to have spoken about the Poland game during the podcast. On the podcast, should I say? But it is tonight. Yeah. Lewandowski's not playing, so but they've still got decent players. So all of this could be irrelevant in a minute when I say he could have his 7th clean sheet. He could have made an absolute howler. But the point I want to talk about is his performance against Albania, which I'll let you go into first, and then the reaction that we saw from other fans, basically now saying that they prefer Pickford for whatever reason. Even though Nick's done literally nothing wrong. If anything, he's done very, very, very well while playing for England.
Yeah, I've become sort of like obsessed with it since listening to you about it and then hearing about certain players starting for England before it were released. Become sort of obsessed with narratives of you sort of brought it to my attention when you were as a journalist. And basically it's interesting because I'm listening to TalkSport, I'm listening to whatever, and they're all sort of jumping on the defence, I find now, of Pope. I don't think it's as negative as what we're finding. You know, like, because it's easy to go looking for the negatives, isn't it? But when I'm listening to the radio and they're all basically going on about, they're making jokes of it now. Yeah, but he can't kick it though, can he? Because they're basically saying, do you know what? He's kept a clean sheet. He's got 6 now clean sheets for England. He's playing. They even went through today. They almost did. And I say almost, but they almost went down a Jamie Vardy sort of celebratory route. They mentioned his clubs, so they were saying he was on loan at York, he was on loan at I can't even remember the name of the team that's in non-league. He was on loan at X, Y, and Z, and then he went to Burnley, and he's doing it every week now for Burnley, and he's doing it. And then Trevor Sinclair come on at the radio this morning, and he was saying, "Yeah, he's a proper. You've got to have a good, strong mentality for all them setbacks to keep going and keep going." And then his injury, and the narrative is suddenly shifting now to saying, "Do you know what? It's like the success story that Jamie Vardy had. He's come from non-league, he's done this, he's worked his way up, had that massive injury, and now he's not England's number 1." So I do think that there are going to be the negative fans, and they will wait and wait and wait for him to drop the ball. They'll wait for him to kick it out of play because that's all they're watching the match for. But majority, I'm finding, especially the media, are turning pro Pope.
See, in the media, I've seen probably a bit of a mix. Who was it? I was quite surprised to see Stephen Warnock say that he prefers pronouns that he prefers Nick Pope to Jordan Pickford because he sees Pickford as more erratic, and that's exactly the point. Yeah, Pickford might do a Rabona out of the back and dink it over to Stones, for example. But, you know, he might let one in against Albania, for example, or not come and collect a cross like Pope will. One thing I do want to put on screen, if I can, is something that we highlighted this week. I was sat in this room, and as you can see now, wrong shoulder, I've set up the TV and stuff behind me. So I sit here when I'm working now, watching Sky Sports News. And this week, I saw this comment, which is on your screen now, from Rob Dorset. And he said, I have been told told by you, his grandma probably, that if Nick Pope wants the England #1 jersey, then he has to leave Burnley this summer. Now, this absolutely took off, and it was just sometimes when I'm struggling for content, and someone says something about Burnley, I just quickly type it up and put it out there, and think a few people are going to get pissed off about that, and rightly so. A few people will debate it, but this ended up being seen by over 600,000 people. It was retweeted by Charlie Austin, who used to play for Burnley. It was retweeted by the Tactical Times or something. I've never heard of them, but they had quite a few followers. And what I saw was, I expected Burnley fans to be like, oh, here we go again, bullshit, what a load of rubbish. But the majority of other fans going, yeah, well, fair enough. But what I found is that 99% of fans this time backed us and says, what a load of rubbish this is from Dorset. And even if it is true, which it probably isn't, because Dorset's Dorset, if it is true, then Southgate's an absolute shambles for saying something like that. If he's playing for Burnley, he's going to get more shots against him than he is playing for somebody like Tottenham, for example. So therefore, he's going to be in action more and things like that. And obviously, people can highlight and say blah blah blah. It's because of the style of play, which is a fair enough point, because Burnley don't play out from the back, and I wouldn't want them to, because it's not my sort of style. But Everton don't play out from the back as well. So I don't understand why, if that is the case, why Pickford has that #1 shirt. If you need to be doing that at club level. So it were interesting to see what people were saying and stuff. But what did you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, doing it at club level and your actual ability for me is a different thing. So just because Pickford's not doing it necessarily for Everton, I would not ostracise him if I thought he was the best person to do the job that I wanted him to do at England. Pope, just because he's playing with a flat back 4 in front of him doesn't mean he can't play with a 3 in front of him. So, you know what I mean? I wouldn't necessarily just say, right, well, you're not doing it at club level. And if that is what Southgate's saying in some press conferences, then it's easy to contradict that with his comments of Trent Alexander-Arnold isn't in form at the minute. He's not doing very well, so we're not taking him. But I'm going to take Trippier, who's been off for 12 weeks with a ban.
Yeah, Southgate does sometimes contradict himself, to be fair.
And I'm going to take Dyer,
that was ridiculous.
I'm going to take Dyer, who lives by his name, and then we're just going to move. Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense to me. But I like the fact that, like I said, I heard Jim White, Simon Jordan both saying this morning, you know, at the end of the day, he kicks the ball out of the back of the net, but he can't kick it. You know, they're making banter about it. And at the end of the day, if he can, I noticed he was receiving the ball, but if he starts to receive the ball more, you're guaranteed he will learn how to.
You'll naturally become better. Obviously, if you do something more and more, you naturally become better. Apart from me when I'm playing Call of Duty.
And you're not telling me that them England coaching staff, which have been fantastic from what I've heard behind the scenes, you know, I've been lucky enough to meet 1 or 2 of them, that they aren't thinking, right, well, we're not going to sit here and work on you catching across, mate, because we know you can do that. They're going to sit there and work on him distribution, timings, movements. That's what they'll be spending time, because they ain't got a lot of time with them, mate. They won't be fucking about saying, right, well, you can catch a ball, so let's do some more practices then on that. Yeah,
fair enough. Obviously, as a former journalist, as you rightly pointed out, I always like to add a bit of balance, which I feel like I did on the Twitter.com, because we did the quote that I've just showed you all. But then Alex James from Lancs Live actually spoke to Gareth Southgate and asked him whether or not, I'm not sure exactly what he asked him, I think. Apologies if I get this wrong, Alex. I don't know Alex listens. Asked him sort of like if playing for a certain club would hinder a player, or if Pope would have to move somewhere to get the #1 jersey. And then Alex sent me the link of what he said. So I'll just quickly put it on your screen now. And then I will obviously read it all out to you all. So the headline is, Gareth Southgate backs Nick Pope and Burnley amid England kicking debate and transfer talk. England boss says what we already knew, that Pope's ability and talent mean he can be first choice for Clarets and 3 Lions. England manager Gareth Southgate has backed Nick Pope to succeed at international level while playing for Burnley amid a debate over his kicking and distribution. Pope made history against Albania on Sunday when he became the first England goalkeeper to keep clean sheets in each of his opening 6 international matches, as we've already said. He will again be between the posts as 3 Lions take on Poland, blah, blah, blah. The 28-year-old has excelled for Burnley. Let's just get into Southgate's comments. So when Alex asked him what I've just said, he asked him about his future or his distribution and things like that. Southgate responded, it is there on your screen now if you want to read it. I could just imagine Dyche being delighted with me commenting on that, joked Southgate when asked about Sport Future. I would never comment on his teams. Nick has proven through his time at Burnley to be one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League and at the height of consistency. The primary job for a goalkeeper is to keep the ball out of the net first and foremost. It is at times a much undervalued trait and he is very good at it. He is competent with the ball at his feet. There are obviously players that are playing in different patterns with their clubs. Obviously, he's referring to Pickford there. But he has caught more than well in the matches that we've had. Kosovo away was a game where, although we had qualified, there was pressure of the crowd, and it was a good experience for Nick to be in a competitive qualifying game. So I have been really comfortable with Nick being between the posts for us. I have not had to spare a second thought, and I haven't spoken to him about it too much during the week because I'm happy for him to crack on with his job, and he has a great temperament of these sorts of games. So basically, somebody's lying. It's either Gareth Southgate or it's Rob Dorset.
Well, to go back to the question that you asked me a minute ago, when all I did was prove that Gareth Southgate can contradict himself. It's probably Gareth Southgate that's contradicting himself. And do I think that Nick needs to move club to be an England goalkeeper? The point I was trying to make earlier, but I kind of forgot to finish it off, was that just because he's not doing it for Burnley doesn't mean he's not good enough to do it for England in terms of playing it out. And second to that, I don't think that you would look at Burnley and a defence and think of it as a negative. I think you would look at Burnley defence as a positive. You know what I mean? If you want a goal scorer who's going to do, a rainbow fucking scissor kicks.
We're not your team. We are not your team.
You have a look at Burnley Football Club. You're probably going to go to a Brazilian outfit. But that's what I'm saying. If you're thinking of defence, thinking of Burnley, don't think you're going to look at that negatively on Gareth Southgate's behalf.
Yep, fair enough. Something else I want to talk about. I've already mentioned it. Robbie Brady. Now, I know it's a bit of a touchy subject, and Kieran Phillips, if he's watching, has probably already thrown his brew at the telly. Johnny Tate's already laughing his head off, knowing what Kieran Phillips is doing. But he lasted 21 minutes for Ireland on Monday, Tuesday, whenever they played. I don't know when it was. And he came off as a substitute. So he came off the pitch, replaced by Troy Parrott. I'll say that again, Troy Parrott. Brady was forced off injured after 21 minutes. I mean, it's not looking good for Robbie, is it? It's been a long time since he's had, a bout of full fitness. And we finally thought that maybe, even though his form hasn't been there, we'll get that in there, his form hasn't been good enough since he's coming back from injury. Apart from the first 2 or 3 games, to be fair, when he did come back, it was brilliant because obviously we had that banter with Johnny Tate on the watch along. Then he had an absolute storm of that game. I think he even got the man of the match. And then he was really good for 2 or 3 games after that. But his form sort of dropped off a cliff since. He might have picked up a knot recently that's then been aggravated in this Ireland game. We don't know. But yeah, it's not looking good for him, is it? He obviously had the long layoff with the knee injury. And since then, it's just been stop, start. So not looking good for Brady, I think.
Couldn't tell you for the life of me what it is that makes players injury prone. I mean, unless they've got a disability that says this is what's going to happen, then I can't understand it. But is it a not warming up correctly? Is it, something simple as that? Is it the fact that he's not having enough time to recover from the previous injury? Is it an overcompensation? But if it was the overcompensating, then I imagine that your body would start getting used to that by now because of how long it's been. But we've seen it with bigger and better players than Brady. We've seen it with Michael Owens and that have gone up there, hit that levels of their peak. I'm not saying we're not comparing them, but their levels of their peak, and then subsequently had an injury that's then just kind of dropped. If Brady wasn't at Burnley, would he be getting in any other Premier League squad? In my opinion, no. Would he be getting in a top end? Would he be getting in a top-end championship? Possibly, but would they pay his wages for the availability of his season, which is probably about 30%? I would say no. We're lucky that we've got Goodmanson, but then we're also lucky we've got Brady because the pair of them, between them, get through one season. So if there was individuals in our squad, they would have fallen down the pecking order so far.
If we actually invested in the squad, Brady wouldn't be anywhere near it, let's be honest. Whether it's through injury or through form or a mixture of both, let's be honest. Let's put it where he is now. Poor form, poor injury record. If we invested in that right-hand side of midfield, he won't be anywhere near it.
Yeah, I feel sorry for the kid because he's obviously got the ability, but it's just not what.
Yeah, the talent's obviously there. He is good enough to be in the Burnley squad. Like, I'm not sitting here and saying he's got zero technical ability or he's shit. But since that knee injury, he has looked like he's got zero technical ability. But we do know it's there because we've seen him do it. Kieran Phillips has just turned us off. But we do know it's there because we've seen him do it. He is good enough. But look at his form over the last 2 years mixed with these injuries. Since then, he hasn't been good enough. So I think it's time to get rid of the summer for me.
See, I don't just because of personal
with investment. Yeah. But we obviously need investment as well. Can't believe I said as well like that. We obviously need investment as well. In an ideal world, we'll bring in someone else and get rid of Brady. Bring in 2 or 3 people that can play across the midfield or on the wings. Because at the minute, we just have Dwight, Brady, and JBG, like you say, and JBG and Brady are just in and out of the squad through injuries.
Yeah. Would I get rid of him? Probably not as it stands. Even if we got one more in, we're still on the bare bones with the 2 that we've got. So one more doesn't necessarily fix the situation. It just makes if we release one, it doesn't fix the situation. It just replaces the situation. So I don't know if I would get rid of him yet. I think that probably not on the one of the top earners. I think he's good enough that if you don't need him for a season, but that's my argument. The fact is that we need a player like that right now, and we don't have it in him. So is he good enough to come off a bench, play cup games, things like that? Then absolutely for me. But that's in our squad, and I don't think anyone else will put up with it. But maybe I'm being personal because I'm a guy who injures himself a lot. I won't want to be thrown out just because I get injured.
Yeah, well, maybe. But going back to the point you made about not knowing why some people do it, only Robbie Brady will know why. But I think with some players it's a mental thing, and I think with Brady it's a mental thing. I think some players will play through certain injuries or certain pain levels. Some players just won't. I think Robbie Brady is one of them that he just won't play through a certain level of pain. Somebody like Steven Gerrard or someone who's played for us, Joey Barton, I think they're more likely to play through them levels of pain. Another example is Stephen Defoe. I think he clear just any slight niggle and head's gone, can't be arsed, I think, with Defoe. Defoe with worse than Brady, and that's saying something. But obviously, they're not the only people that have been on international duty this week. We have had Dwight McNeil, who is currently, just as we are talking right now, playing his 3rd and, let's be honest, final game in the under-21s European Championships, because England have lost the first 3 games. Lost the first 2 games. They have to win this game and hope other results go their way to qualify. Been a bit mixed bag for Dwight, though, because, mixed bag. He's been mainly poor, to be fair. I'm not saying he's been poor, but in his first game he started, but he played wing-back, out of position. Even though a lot of people have been sort of advocating for this to be Dwight's new position, I think you've proven now that that's not what Dwight's about. He's got zero defensive sort of nous at all. He's getting better, but, just in terms of positioning, I think he's getting better. You don't really see him making a tackle or anything like that. Second game, he didn't even start. Brought on around the 70th minute mark, 60th minute mark, I'm not sure exactly when. Again, didn't really have an impact. And if just the team news has just landed now as we speak for the England under-21s starting lineup, and Dwight McNeil is back in the side. So who knows? He might have a good game tonight in this one. There he is at the bottom, Dwight McNeil. That's an absolute look at that lineup, by the way. So you've got Ramsdale, Aarons, Kelly, Conor Gallagher, Eddie Nketiah, Wilmot, Tanganga, Skip, Jones, Eze, however you want to pronounce it, and Dwight McNeil. How have they not won a game, a major championship for 4 years? What's their manager called now? It's winding me up. I've been trying.
No, is it Eddie Boothroyd?
Yeah, he's a clown. How can you not win a game? No, he's honestly. He's
under pressure, isn't he? Because they're already saying about
the 2 people. Yeah, he needs to go, man. That's scandal. He was shit at Preston. Were he at Preston? He was shit there. I think he was at Preston.
They're already on about Nicky Butt taking his role because he's refused to comment on the situation.
Yeah, it's time. It's time he went. I think it's time he went. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because it's not an England podcast. I like England. We could end up doing an England podcast. Who knows?
We should do it for summer. Let us know if you want to watch.
Yeah, we'll do one for Euros. 100%. Hopefully, I'll have a decent camera by then. But yeah, fingers crossed. But anyway, Boothroyd, get gone. Look at the 2 managers we've got at England level. We've got Southgate and Boothroyd. Could be any more yes men if you tried. Ridiculous. But fingers crossed Dwight has a good game today. What have you made of Dwight's tournament anyway?
I've seen Dwight in a few under-21s now. I watch it because he's usually on like some crap channel that I've got on my box. So I have watched
a legal box, of course.
A legal box. I have watched him, and I'm going to admit, if I wasn't a Burnley fan, I wouldn't notice he were there, mate. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. I don't know whether it's the system. I don't know whether it's a confidence thing, but he's playing in a team that arguably could be a first team. Most of them could be first team, like knocking on the bench. You know what I mean? There's some of them are really good. Callum Hudson-Odoi. Eze, he's absolutely ripping it apart.
He's class.
It's ridiculous. There's 5 or 6 in that squad that you could argue, and Dwight, one of them. Dwight, Burnley fans will say, "Oh, he should be pushing on for first team," and it's a good argument. He's playing Premier League football. He's doing bits for Burnley, but he doesn't look like he enjoys it when he plays for 21s. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know.
It's got to be the system or just that team. Just imagine any inspiration that you had built up any excitement levels that you had built up while getting up playing, saying bye to your mum and dad and your missus, like, I'm off to Portugal or wherever it is. I'm going to play for England at under 20. Can't wait. And you get there and Eddie Boothroyd's at the other side of playing going, hi, Dwight. You just zap out of you straight away. I reckon it's just all to do with, not necessarily Eddie, but Eddie, the system, the style of play that they want him to do. I'm going in a bit on Eddie Boothroyd. He's going to get sacked, let's be honest. They'll lose today probably and he'll get sacked. But I think everything around that under-21 side just isn't really working at the minute. And you look at Easy as well. Like, he's not really done much. Again, I'll be honest, I've not really been watching it. Eze, sorry. He's not really done much.
In defence of Dwight, making it sound like a thing, but none of them are doing anything. You're
not noticing any of them are there.
Mate, honestly, they're overplaying it. Every single one of them. It's like they get to the edge of the box, have a perfectly good chance to cross it, and they'll come back, start again. It's literally, it's just overplaying football. They all know how to do it, but none of them have a finishing thing. I remember watching Ryan Brewster when he was in it, and that was only a few months ago when I watched him, and Dwight played in that one. Dwight did 5 or 6 deliveries, and you just think it just needs him to do it. But it weren't like he were missing him. The ball, he was getting contact with the ball and flying over bar or something. It was just like so frustrating to watch. He were poor.
I think we've done well. Apologies if you can hear a door slamming downstairs. I think we've done well. We've got 35 minutes out of that. We've got 35 minutes out of literally not really talking about Burnley, talking about England and players who play for Burnley, playing for England.
One thing we did forget.
Go on.
Johan Berg Gudmundsson played for Iceland.
He did.
77.
Did he do well? Did he do well? I didn't watch that.
Armenia at home against Iceland wasn't on my watch list, but especially when Johan didn't even play the first game. So anyway, I've had a look now. He played 77 minutes and he come off. Now I'm hoping that's just a tactical change. 77 minutes, I'm guessing so. But
I'm sure we'd have heard if it were an injury.
You never know.
You never know with him. Bailey, seeing as you've done some research, has Bailey played? Was Bailey playing tonight? Have I thrown you under here and you've not done that research?
Completely thrown me under a bus.
You're like, well, I've just checked now, so I thought you'd checked him all.
Well, I usually do, but you mentioned him earlier, so I thought, he played against USA in a friendly, didn't he? I remember now.
USA!
He didn't even start.
Oh, what? Who started?
Hazard.
Any relation?
I don't know. He was on the bench though. 12 yet. Bailey got fouled. He was on the bench. Hazard. Yeah,
I think they're playing tonight, aren't they? I think they're playing tonight. They're playing tonight. I did a graphic for it this week at work. So they're playing tonight, playing tomorrow.
The best thing I can give you on that particular game, it was a friendly. So let's be fair. It gives other people a chance. They are playing tonight against Bulgaria. But the best news I can give you is Carl Lafferty started.
Oh, I remember we talked about Carl Lafferty last time, didn't we? And I was like, fucking hell, how old is he now?
Yeah, no, he played.
Obviously, he must have put a mixed squad out then.
He's playing against Bulgaria tonight, who are the other side to have not won a game yet. In their group, they've got Italy, Switzerland, Lithuania, Northern Ireland, Bulgaria. Bulgaria have lost 2. Northern Ireland have only played 1 so far, but they lost.
Fair enough.
So they need to win that one to keep up with Switzerland and Italy, who won both of their 2 games.
Fair enough. Well, the England under-21 game kicks off at... I don't know why I'm telling people that. I'm going to say it kicks off at 5 if you want to watch it. I'm going to say after the stream. We're not live. So never mind. But I'll tell you what, I do want to move on now because I just ballsed up violently. So let's move on. Obviously, we've got the Southampton game coming up, and this week my question on the Pitch Sport app was, do you think we could beat Southampton? I asked you last week, so you've already kind of discussed this. You said I am not as confident as you, but yes, we are very capable of getting a result.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So if you do want to respond to our fan time questions, as I've already said, please download the Pitch Sport app. It is at the bottom of your screen now. You can see it. Simon's very kindly going to start modelling it now. There we go. He's modelling it. Beautiful, beautiful. Calvin Klein, come on. But yeah, if you haven't already, please download it on the App Store and the Google Play Store. It's available in both England and Ireland. But yeah, obviously, like I said, I put that question out there. There's my face sat here. I'm actually branded up there. I've got my Burnley shirt on. Sat here with someone wiping the nose behind me at that point where I paused it. That's the Ireland manager.
Well, you asked that question. I've got a doorbell going off. You go.
Right. Okay. You mute that doorbell. I'll talk to listeners and do this. Unless one of the lads can go. No, they can't go. But big shout out to Chris P. He got in touch and answered it on the Pitch Sport app. And by the way, if you do want to get your answers in, we read them out every single podcast. So it's sort of like a little bit of an incentive to sort of like have your answer read out on the podcast, and then we'll usually discuss them. Obviously, Simon's not here at this point, so we won't be discussing it. Chris P says, I think if we can continue with our performances from being the break, I see why not. Obviously, before the break, I think he means. For me, it's all about stopping Danny Ings from causing problems. I'm not giving away silly fouls outside our box. I think we can win by a goal, maybe 1-0 or a 2-1. I totally agree. I think we can get a win. And Ings, I'm not sure where he's at with his injury at the minute. He's been injured. I'm not sure if he'll be back for that game. I've seen pictures of him training. So even if he is back, hopefully he's not sharp and he's a little bit rusty or whatever, because obviously we saw the turf, sort of like the damage that he can do to us when he wants to. And another answer we've had from Neil Layfield. Shout out to Neil Layfield, a regular listener, regular viewer, and a regular fan time answerer, as you can see at the bottom of the screen there. He says, yeah, we were in good form before the international break and fired up after the Everton performance. And as long as Daesh doesn't do a presser saying we have 9 injured, then we should be fine. Well, we have 1 injured, obviously, in terms of Robbie Brady, as we've already mentioned. But I agree with you two. I think we can win. If we play like we did against Everton, and I put the tweet out not long after we beat Everton, because, of course, we've had 3 weeks off rather than 2 weeks off like everyone else. So we've had 2 weeks without games, should I say, whereas everyone else has only had 1 week without a game. Simon's back. Good to see you, mate. And Southampton played against Brighton either the day after the Everton game or the week after the Everton game. I can't remember. And they were dreadful, Southampton, in that game. They were utterly dreadful. So if we can catch Southampton on a day like that, and we can play on a day like we did against Everton, we will wipe the floor with them. I am that confident. But we all know it's not as simple as that. We will not play like we did against Everton because that's the best performance we've had all season. And Southampton will have had a rocket up their arses and a nice little break as well for those who aren't on international duty. So we won't play like that. But what are your thoughts ahead of this game then, Simon?
I'm nervous because, like I said, you just said it there. They're in this shit form. They're playing crap. But we know that they can play well. And it's times like this that I get more nervous because I think on our day we can beat anybody, but there's a different fight in a wounded animal, and they're definitely a wounded animal at the minute. It's just worrying about. We know what they can do. It depends if people like Ingsy are playing as well. It depends if it depends on a lot of factors with them. But at the minute, our form versus their form, we should be winning. So I'm confident that we should, but I'm not as confident as I normally am.
Yeah, I know what you mean, though. We have fallen victim to the wounded animal plenty of times as Clarets, so fingers crossed. Like, it is, Ings coming back or not is obviously a big factor. He has been injured. Fingers crossed he's still injured. I'm trying to talk louder over the ice cream van that's decided to turn up outside my house. You think it gets a bit warm, right? So you think, I'll crack window open. It won't matter. I live on like a quietish estate now. There's not going to be any kids running around, or even if they are, they're only young kids, so they're not going to be shouting and screaming. Then an ice cream van turns up. But anyway, yeah, I think we can win. I've said that now, and I'm normally the one that's a little bit like, I don't know. But I don't know. There's just something about this game, and there's been a few games over the last few seasons where I've looked at it and gone, yeah, we'll win that game. And every single time we've won. It was Brighton, not last season, the season before. Because I remember we were like 11-2 to beat Brighton down at the Amex, and Brighton were odds on, and I was like, that's scandalous. Brighton are well out of form, and I think I put like 20 quid on us, and then had a decent return. What were it last season? There were a game last season, I can't remember, but we won it again. So fingers crossed I can keep that 100% record up. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to the Clarets. Simon, what's your score prediction?
2 away, maybe. Yeah, go on. 2-1 we'll go for.
2-1 is going for a 2-1.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to go for a Desmond then.
No, I'll go for 2-1 away. I feel like, again, we've got the ability. The form's on our side, so let's go for it.
Yeah, I agree. Apologies, we're not going to reach an hour this week. There's not that much. We've done the season tickets. We've done the Clarets on international duty. We've briefly looked at the Southampton game. Obviously, as you know, now regular listeners to the podcast, we don't go too much into detail because I'd always try and get a member of the opposition, a fan of the opposition on. So fingers crossed we can get a Southampton fan Saturday, probably Saturday live, and it will do that on Facebook and YouTube. So going to start wrapping up here then, unless there's anything you want to add, Simon?
No, good. I'm going to crack on trying to renew my season ticket.
Fair enough. I'm going to go and watch the England under-21s get beat and crash out of the European Championships. So hopefully Dwight can put in a good performance. But we will watch along. Sunday, are you free?
I don't know the answer to that. I feel like there is something on. What day? What's Sunday? Sunday
at 12. It's Easter Sunday.
It's Easter Sunday. Maybe that's what's on my mind. Let me come back to you on it. But there's something on my mind. So it might just be that it's Easter Sunday.
Yeah, okay, no worries. I'm off all weekend, but I'm working Good Friday and Easter Monday, so that's time and off, and I get the 2 days off as well. If that's anyone good. From William Hill is watching this, I'm not just doing it for the time and off. I'm doing it because I'm a dedicated employee and I want to work there. But yeah, buzzing with that. So I'll be there. Johnny Tate, I've not asked him. I'll give you some good news now, Simon. Something that might make you want to actually be on the watch along.
Go on.
Kieran Phillips is out. He can't do it.
You know what? I think I am available Sunday. I think it was just. I think it's Louis has a football match that I'm getting. There's something in my mind anyway.
Oh yeah, you did say football back this week, didn't you? To be fair,
yeah.
What sort of Fulham Colts manager, if he still plays for Fulham Colts, as organised? No, it's not Fulham Colts. I will stop slandering Fulham Colts right now. There we go. But what sort of manager organises a game? What sort of league organises a game when Burnley playing? You know, it used to wind me up when I was playing football. The amount of times I'd have to play a game when Burnley were away or something. They cancel it if we were at home. Obviously, it's different now because you can't get on the games anyway. But they cancel it when we're at home. But when we're away, sometimes they'd be like, no, we're having a game. So I'd miss it. I'd be fuming. So it's not a new thing. But yeah, we'll have a watch along. Simon might not be on it. He might be. Johnny Tate might be on it. He might not be. Kieran Phillips will not be on it. Jared Warren, he might be on it. He might not be. I will be on it. I'm the only 100% person here. I am dedicated to this cause, everybody. Simon looks like he's thinking. And if you are watching this on Facebook, thank you very much for watching it. We are, of course, now available for Facebook stars again. And so please feel free to send some our way to show your support. But that's it for this week's podcast. Simon's going to... No, he's sacked it again. That's it for this week's podcast. We will try and do a pre-game show on Saturday. If I can get a Southampton fan to come on the pre-game show, probably do it live on YouTube and Facebook. Again, watch out for our feeds on social media to find out when and where it will be. We will have a watch along and we will have a podcast again next week. So there's loads of stuff coming up for you. If you want to get involved, you can. If you want to watch and listen, you can. Thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.